The massive station floated in the darkness of space like a metal city. Nexus Station was bigger than most planets. Ships from hundreds of worlds docked at its ports every day. Today was different. Today, the humans had come to ask for something that had never been given to a species so young. Commander Hana Kim walked through the long corridors toward the council chamber. Her boots made soft sounds on the metal floor. She wore the dark blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. No weapons hung from her belt. No armor covered her body. She looked small compared to the alien beings she passed in the hallways. A group of Thorkin warriors stomped past her. Each one stood 3 meters tall. Their thick skin looked like living rock. Energy weapons covered their arms like jewelry. They glanced down at Hana with what might have been pity. How could such a tiny, soft creature survive in a galaxy full of dangers? Hana did not seem worried. She had seen the files. She knew what the other species thought about humans. They called Earth's people weak. They said humans needed too much help to stay alive. Some council members wondered if humans deserved protection at all. The council chamber doors opened with a deep hum. Inside, representatives from 47 different worlds sat in a great circle. The room was so large that Hana could barely see the ceiling. Each species had brought their finest diplomats and strongest warriors. Chairman Vex stood in the center of the circle. His body was made of living crystal that caught the light and threw it back in rainbow patterns. When he spoke, his voice sounded like wind chimes in a storm. "We gather today to judge the humans," Chairman Vex announced. "Earth requests membership in the Interstellar Alliance. They wish our protection. They offer their service in return." Murmurs filled the chamber. Most of the sounds were not friendly. Hana took her place at the speaker's podium. Around her, dozens of alien eyes studied her like scientists examining a new bug. General Throck rose from his seat. The reptilian leader was covered in scales that looked like black metal. Weapon systems were built into his arms and shoulders. When he moved, servo motors whined softly. "I have read the human military reports," General Throck said. His voice was deep and rough. "Your species confuses me. Your soldiers go into battle without proper equipment. Your elite warriors carry no weapons at all. How do you expect to help defend this alliance when you cannot even properly arm your own fighters?" Other representatives nodded their agreement. The Zephyrians displayed holographic images of their plasma rifles. The mechanoids showed off their built-in weapon systems. Every species in the Alliance had spent thousands of years making better and better tools for war. Hana remained calm. She had expected this question. "Our methods work for us," she said simply. "Work for you." General Throck's laugh sounded like grinding metal. "Yesterday our scouts reported something impossible. Your operative Gina Park destroyed an entire pirate fleet on the Kepler system. 53 enemy fighters. All destroyed. Our sensors detected no energy weapons fire from her ship, no missile launches, no plasma discharge. Nothing." The chamber fell quiet. Even the constant hum of the station's engines seemed to pause. "She used no weapons at all," General Throck continued. "The pirates' own guns turned against them. Their ships exploded from the inside. Their computer systems failed at exactly the wrong moments. How does one small human female accomplish what a full battle fleet could not?" All eyes turned to Hana. She could feel the weight of their stare. 47 different species waiting for her answer. The future of humanity's place among the stars depended on what she said next. "Weapons slow us down," Hana replied. The silence that followed was complete. Not one being in the chamber made a sound. Even Chairman Vex's crystal body stopped its constant shifting and glowing. Then the noise started, angry chittering from the insect-like hive lords, deep rumbles from the stone-skinned granite kings, electronic squealing from the machine race called the Uploaded. Every species began talking at once, and none of them sounded happy. Chairman Vex raised one crystalline hand. The chamber slowly grew quiet again. "Explain this statement," he commanded. Hana looked around the circle of alien faces. Some looked confused. Others looked angry. A few looked frightened, though she was not sure why. Every species here has spent millions of years learning to use tools, she began. You made spears, then guns, then energy weapons, then smart weapons that think for themselves. Each tool made you stronger than you were before. Each tool gave you new abilities. Nods came from around the circle. This was how civilization worked. This was how species survived and grew. Humans learned something different, Hana continued. We learned that tools can become limits. A gun can only shoot where it is pointed. A sword can only cut what it can reach. A shield can only protect. One direction at a time. General Throck's weapon systems activated with soft clicks and whines. You speak nonsense. Weapons are force multipliers. They extend capability beyond biological limits. For you, yes, Hana agreed. For humans, weapons are training wheels. They teach us to fight in predictable ways. They make us dependent on technology that can fail or be taken away. They slow us down. Ambassador Yuki Tanaka from the Diplomatic Corps sent Hana a worried look from her seat in the human section. This was not how they had planned to present humanity's case. But Hana continued speaking. Gina Park destroyed those pirates because she did not think like someone with weapons. She did not try to overpower their guns or outfly their ships. She thought like a human. She adapted. She used their own strengths against them. Impossible, declared Commander Zara from the Energy Being Collective. Her form flickered like a living flame. No biological entity can process tactical data at the speeds required for such combat. No organic brain can predict enemy movements with sufficient accuracy. You're right, Hana said with a small smile. No other biological entity can do these things. But humans are not like other species. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every single day. We learned to survive not by becoming stronger or faster or tougher. We learned to become smarter, more adaptable, more dangerous. The chamber erupted again. This time the sounds were different. Less anger, more fear. The representatives began, speaking in urgent whispers to their advisors. General Throck stood up so quickly that his chair fell backward. You claim superiority over species that have mastered interstellar warfare for millennia. No, Hana said calmly. I claim that humans fight differently. We always have. When other species reach for bigger weapons, we learn to need no weapons at all. Chairman Vex's crystal form began glowing brighter. These are bold claims, Commander. Kim. Claims that require proof. Hana nodded. She had known this moment would come. What kind of proof would satisfy the Council? General Throck's mandibles clicked together rapidly. This was how his species showed excitement. Demonstration. If humans truly fight without weapons, if you truly believe tools slow you down, then prove it. Send one of your warriors against our best combat scenarios. And if we succeed, then humanity earns membership in the Alliance, Chairman Vex declared. But if you fail, Earth remains under its current quarantine status. No trade, no protection, no contact with galactic civilization. The other representatives murmured their agreement. 47 worlds would judge humanity based on one demonstration. One chance to prove that their way of war could work among the stars. Hana looked out at the alien faces surrounding her. Some showed curiosity, others showed doubt. A few still showed fear, though they tried to hide it. We accept, she said. The die was cast. In 3 days, on the military testing grounds of Titan Base, humanity would stand trial. Not in a court of law, but in a court of combat. Gina Park would face challenges designed by the galaxy's greatest military minds. She would face them alone, unarmed and unafraid, because weapons would only slow her down. 3 days passed quickly. Titan Base hung in space near Saturn like a massive metal fortress. The military testing facility was the size of a small moon. Ships from 12 different worlds arrived to watch the human demonstration. Word had spread through the galaxy faster than light itself. The observation deck filled with alien representatives. Each species brought their finest military experts. They came to see if humans could really fight without weapons. Most came expecting to watch humanity fail. General Throck stood near the main viewing window. His black scales reflected the lights of the testing arena below. Weapon systems hummed softly along his arms. He had never seen a warrior succeed without proper equipment. Today would prove that humans were just another weak species making bold claims. Ambassador Kell from the Hive Mind Collective clicked his mandibles nervously. His species had conquered 17 star systems using swarm tactics and bioweapons. The idea of fighting without tools seemed like suicide to his insect brain. "This is madness," Ambassador Kell whispered to his aide. "No creature can survive military-grade combat scenarios without enhancement." Commander Yuki Tanaka sat in the human section of the viewing area. She wore her dress uniform, but her hands shook slightly. Too much depended on what happened in the next hour. If Gina Park failed, Earth would remain isolated forever. Humanity would never travel to the stars. Chairman Vex entered the observation deck with slow, careful steps. His crystal body caught the arena lights and threw rainbow patterns across the walls. Other representatives moved aside to give him space. Even among powerful alien species, his authority was absolute. "Begin the demonstration," Chairman Vex announced. The arena doors opened with a deep grinding sound. Gina Park walked into the testing area. She looked small under the bright lights. Her black hair was pulled back in a simple tie. She wore standard Earth military clothes, but no armor. No weapons hung from her belt. No enhancement devices covered her body. The alien observers leaned forward in their seats. She looked like an ordinary human woman. Nothing special, nothing dangerous, nothing that could challenge military equipment designed by the galaxy's best engineers. The automated testing system activated with electronic beeps and whirs. Holographic displays showed the arena layout. It was a maze of buildings, streets, and obstacles designed to test every aspect of combat skill. Testing subject identified, the computer voice announced. Human female. No energy signatures detected. No weapon systems detected. No enhancement technology detected. General Throck's laugh rumbled through the observation deck. "She carries nothing, not even a knife." Mission parameters activated. The computer continued. Eliminate 50 combat drones. Breach 6 secured facilities. Extract 1 hostage from fortified position. Time limit 30 minutes. Standard military units average completion time 47 minutes with full equipment loadout. The countdown began. 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7. Gina Park stood in the center of the arena. Her breathing was slow and steady. Her eyes moved, constantly, studying every building, every shadow, every possible hiding place. She was memorizing the battlefield before the battle began. 3, 2, 1. The first combat drone dropped from the ceiling like a metal spider. It was the size of a car and covered in weapons. Energy cannons charged with blue light. Missile pods opened with mechanical clicks. Its sensors locked onto Gina Park immediately. She moved, but she did not run or dive for cover like the observers expected. Instead, she walked directly toward the drone. Her pace was casual, almost relaxed. The drone fired its main cannon. The energy blast should have vaporized her instantly. The beam was hot enough to melt steel. Instead, something impossible happened. Gina Park raised her hands and caught the energy beam like it was a ball thrown by a child. The alien observers gasped. Several fell out of their chairs. Energy weapons could not be caught with bare hands. The physics made no sense. Gina held the energy beam for 2 seconds, then twisted her hands sharply to the left. The beam redirected toward a second drone that had just entered the arena. The redirected energy struck the second drone's power core. It exploded in a shower of sparks and metal. The first drone tried to adjust its targeting, but Gina was already moving again. She leaped onto its hull with perfect balance. Her hands found specific points on its armor plating. She pressed firmly in 3 different spots. The drone's systems failed instantly. Its weapons powered down. Its flight motors stopped spinning. It crashed to the arena floor with a sound like thunder. 8 seconds had passed. 2 drones destroyed. 0 weapons used. "Impossible," whispered Dr. Chen from the scientific collective. His 4 eyes blinked rapidly behind thick glasses. "Human nervous systems cannot process data at those speeds." More drones entered the arena, 5 this time, approaching from different directions. Their tactical programming was designed by military experts from 6 different species. They moved in perfect formation, covering each other's blind spots. Gina Park smiled. She picked up a piece of debris from the destroyed drone, just a small metal fragment, nothing special. She threw it toward the nearest building wall. The fragment bounced off the wall at an exact angle, struck a light fixture, which fell and hit a support beam, which triggered a small avalanche of construction materials. The falling debris landed in a perfect pattern that blocked the drone's sensors for exactly 3 seconds. In those 3 seconds, Gina moved through the formation like water flowing around stones. She touched each drone once. All 5 crashed simultaneously. "She's using the environment," General Throck muttered. His weapon systems were tracking her movements but could not predict where she would go next. "She's turning the arena itself into a weapon." 15 minutes remained on the clock. Gina had eliminated 23 drones without breaking into a run. She moved through the urban maze, like she had built it herself. Every wall, every doorway, every piece of equipment became part of her strategy. The secured facilities presented new challenges. Each one was protected by energy barriers, automated defense systems, and locked doors that required explosives to breach. Standard military units used plasma torches, sonic charges, or heavy weapons to break through. Gina Park walked up to the first barrier and studied it carefully. The energy field hummed with deadly power. Touching it would kill most creatures. Instantly, she reached out with one finger and tapped the barrier's control node. The field collapsed immediately. She found the shutdown sequence. Commander Yuki Tanaka breathed. In less than 10 seconds, she analyzed the barrier's programming and found its weakness. The second facility had mechanical locks instead of energy barriers. Gina examined the door for 30 seconds, then pressed her palm against specific points. On the metal surface, the locks clicked open one by one. "Vibration analysis," Dr. Chen said, his voice full of wonder. "She's reading the internal mechanisms through touch and sound. No scanner required." By the 20-minute mark, Gina had breached all 6 facilities. The final challenge waited in the arena's central building, a hostage scenario designed to test rescue operations under fire. The building was surrounded by automated gun turrets. Each turret could track and destroy incoming threats in milliseconds. Military doctrine required teams of specialists with jamming equipment and heavy armor to approach safely. Gina Park walked directly toward the front entrance. The turrets activated with mechanical winds. 24 weapon systems turned toward her. Targeting lasers painted red dots across her body. She should have been cut down instantly. Instead, she began to dance. Her movements were fluid and precise, following patterns that seemed random but were actually carefully calculated. She moved in the exact spaces between the turrets' firing solutions. When they adjusted their aim, she was already somewhere else. The automated systems tried to predict her path, but she never moved the same way twice. She used their own targeting, algorithms against them, staying one step ahead of their calculations. She reached the building entrance without a single shot being fired. "The final phase," Chairman Vex announced. "Hostage extraction under combat conditions." Inside the building, Gina found the hostage, a robot programmed to act like a frightened civilian. It was surrounded by 6 final combat drones, each one equipped with the latest military hardware. The drones opened fire the moment she entered. Energy beams filled the air like deadly lightning. Gina moved between the blasts, never stopping, never hesitating. She grabbed the robot hostage with one arm and continued moving, but now she had to protect something else while fighting. The observers expected this to slow her down, to force her to take defensive positions. Instead, it made her more dangerous. She used the hostage robot as part of her strategy, positioning it so the drones could not fire without risking their target. She moved in patterns that forced the drones to interfere with each other's shots. She turned their superior numbers into a disadvantage. One by one, the final drones fell. Not to weapons, but to physics, timing, and understanding that went beyond anything their programmers had imagined. 27 minutes. Gina Park stood in the arena's center holding the rescued hostage, She was not even breathing hard. The alien observers sat in complete silence. No one spoke. No one moved. They had just witnessed something that challenged everything they understood about warfare, technology. The observation deck remained silent for long minutes. Alien representatives stared at their monitoring screens, trying to understand what they had witnessed. Numbers and data filled the displays, but none of it made sense according to their understanding of combat. Chairman Vex spoke first. His crystal body flickered with confused patterns of light. Our sensors detected no artificial enhancements, no hidden weapons, no external power sources. How is this possible? General Throck's claws scraped against his chair's metal arms. His species had built their entire civilization around superior weapons technology. There must be deception. No biological entity can process tactical information at those speeds. Commander Yuki Tanaka activated the communication system. Her voice carried down to the arena floor where Gina Park waited calmly. Gina, the Council would like to understand your methods. Can you explain how you accomplished this? Gina looked up at the observation windows. Dozens of alien faces stared down at her with mixtures of confusion, fear, and fascination. She set the rescued robot hostage down gently. Every species in this alliance has evolved to use tools. Gina began. Her voice was clear and steady. You made spears, then guns, then energy weapons, then smart weapons that think for themselves. Each tool made you stronger than you were before. Nods came from around the observation deck. This was basic evolutionary theory. This was how intelligence worked. Create better tools, survive better than competitors. Humans learned something different, Gina continued. We learned that tools can become limits. She walked over to a section of arena wall that had been damaged during the combat exercise. The metal plates were bent and twisted from drone weapons fire. Normal repair procedures would require cutting tools, welding equipment, and structural analyzers. Instead, Gina examined the damaged area with just her eyes and hands. She ran her fingers along the twisted metal, feeling for stress points and structural weaknesses. After 30 seconds, she found what she was looking for. She pressed firmly on 3 specific spots. The damaged section shifted and straightened itself, falling back into proper alignment. The wall looked almost new again. Your warriors fight with weapons because weapons make them stronger, Gina said as she worked. For humans, weapons make us predictable. They limit us to their capabilities, their range, their programming. Ambassador Kell from the Hive Mind. Collective clicked his mandibles rapidly. Impossible. Tools extend capability beyond biological limits. This is fundamental to technological advancement. For you, yes, Gina agreed. She moved to another damaged section and repeated the process. Find the stress points, apply pressure in the right places, let physics do the work. But humans evolved differently. Dr. Chen leaned forward in his seat. His scientific mind was struggling with what he observed. Please explain this evolutionary difference. Gina finished repairing the wall section and turned back to face the observation deck. Most species evolved on worlds that were dangerous in predictable ways. Large predators, extreme weather, limited resources. Your ancestors learned to make tools that solved specific problems. She gestured around the arena. Humans evolved on a world that tried to kill us in every possible way. We had predators faster than us, stronger than us, with better senses and natural weapons. We had weather that changed without warning. We had diseases that adapted faster than we could cure them. The alien representatives listened with growing attention. Earth's evolutionary history was known to their scientists, but they had never considered its implications. So humans learned to be unpredictable, Gina continued. We learned to adapt to threats we had never seen before. We learned to use anything around us as a tool. We learned to think faster than our enemies could adapt. General Throck's weapon systems activated with soft electronic sounds. It was an unconscious reaction to stress. You speak of biological adaptation, but what we witnessed was beyond normal organic capability. That's because you think like someone who needs weapons, Gina replied calmly. When you see a problem, you ask, what tool do I need? When humans see a problem, we ask, how can I become the solution? She demonstrated by walking to one of the destroyed combat drones. The machine was twice her size and built from advanced alloys. Its armor could resist energy weapons and explosive devices. Gina knelt beside the drone and placed her hands on its hull. She closed her eyes and remained still for several seconds. Then she began making small adjustments to various components, not breaking them or forcing them, but finding their natural weak points and encouraging them to fail in controlled ways. Within minutes, she had completely disassembled the drone using nothing but understanding of how its parts wanted to move. Every component came apart cleanly, with no damage to the individual pieces. Weapons teach you to fight in specific ways, she explained as she worked. A gun teaches you to keep distance and aim carefully. A sword teaches you to control space and timing. A shield teaches you to block and redirect. The alien observers watched her sort the drone components into neat piles. Each part was undamaged and could be reused. Their own military salvage operations required heavy equipment and often destroyed valuable materials. But what happens when you face an enemy with better weapons? Gina continued. Or when your weapons fail. Or when the situation requires something your tools cannot do. Commander Zara from the Energy Being Collective flickered with agitated light patterns. This is why we develop better weapons. Superior technology overcomes inferior technology. Unless your enemy does not use technology at all, Gina replied. Then your superior weapons become a disadvantage. You become predictable. You limit yourself to what your tools can accomplish. She stood up and faced the observation deck directly. Every drone in this arena fought the same way. Point sensors at target. Calculate firing solution. Discharge weapons. Repeat until target is eliminated. Very efficient against enemies who fight the same way. General Throck's mandibles clicked together in rapid patterns. And inefficient against enemies who do not follow standard combat doctrine. Exactly. Gina smiled. Humans do not follow anyone's combat doctrine. We make it up as we go along. We adapt to each situation using whatever is available. We become whatever the situation requires us to become. Dr. Chen was taking rapid notes on his electronic tablet. Fascinating. You have weaponized unpredictability itself. We have weaponized being human, Gina corrected. Every other species in this galaxy learned to extend their natural abilities with tools. Humans learn to transcend the need for tools entirely. Chairman Vex's crystal form pulsed with thoughtful light patterns. These are remarkable claims, but claims require validation under real combat conditions. The observation deck fell silent. Again. Everyone understood what he meant. The arena demonstration was impressive, but it was still a controlled environment. Real warfare was chaos, unpredictability, and life or death decisions made in milliseconds. General Throck stood up slowly. His massive frame cast shadows across the deck. The Void Hunters have been raiding our outer colonies. They are the galaxy's most dangerous enemy, cybernetic entities that have perfected the fusion of organic intelligence with technological enhancement. He turned to face the human section of the observation area. They are faster, stronger, and more durable than any natural species. Their weapons can reshape matter at the molecular level. They have never been defeated in single combat. Commander Yuki Tanaka felt her heart skip several beats. The Void Hunters were legend among galactic military forces. Entire fleets had been lost, trying to stop their raids. If humanity wishes to join our alliance, General Throck continued, prove your methods work against real enemies. Send your weaponless warrior against the Void Hunters. The challenge hung in the air like a toxic gas. No one spoke. No one moved. The arena demonstration had been impressive, but the Void Hunters were death itself, given form and purpose. Gina Park looked up at the observation deck with calm eyes. When and where? Colony Zerion 7 reported a Void Hunter infiltration team 6 hours ago, General Throck replied. The Colonial Defense Force was overrun in minutes. The colony has gone dark. Chairman Vex's form blazed with urgent light. This Mission would be suicide. The Void Hunters destroyed a fully equipped defense battalion. One human cannot succeed where advanced technology failed. One human with weapons could not succeed, Gina agreed. But I am not planning to fight the Void Hunters. Then what do you plan to do? Ambassador Kell asked. Gina's smile was small but confident. I plan to teach them why humans are the galaxy's apex predator. The observation deck erupted in concerned chatter. 47 different species began arguing about the wisdom of sending an unarmed human against the most dangerous enemy in known space. But Commander Yuki Tanaka understood something the others did not. She had read Gina's complete service record. She knew about the missions that were classified beyond even Alliance security clearance. How long do you need to prepare? Yuki asked. I am already prepared, Gina replied. Weapons would only slow me down. General Throck's laugh was like grinding stone. Arrogance will be your destruction, human. Confidence will be my advantage, Gina corrected. The Void Hunters expect to face enemies who fight with weapons, who think with technology, who depend on tools for survival. She looked directly at General. The mining colony of Zarion 7 floated dead in space. What had once been a thriving outpost of 3,000 workers was now a dark tomb. Emergency lights flickered weakly through broken windows. Debris drifted around the station like metal snow. The rescue ship approached slowly, its sensors scanning for signs of life. Captain Sujin Park, no relation to Gina despite sharing a name, studied the readouts with growing horror. Massive structural damage, she reported to the bridge crew. Hull, breaches on 17 different levels. Power systems operating at 12% capacity. She paused, checking the life sign detectors. I'm reading 43 human life signs in the emergency shelters. All other colonists show as deceased. Gina Park sat in the passenger bay, preparing for deployment. She wore standard colony work, clothes and soft-soled shoes. No armor, no weapons, no enhancement gear. To outside observers, she looked like an ordinary maintenance worker heading to fix broken equipment. The ship's communication system crackled to life. This is Admiral Song from Nexus Station Command. Miss Park, are you certain about this mission? We can have a full marine assault team at your location in 18 hours. 18 hours may be too late for the survivors, Gina replied calmly. The Void Hunters are still hunting. Every minute increases the danger. Through the ship's observation windows, the colony looked like a metal carcass picked clean by scavengers. Void Hunter attack patterns were surgical and efficient. They eliminated resistance quickly, then spent time extracting whatever resources they needed from the conquered territory. Beginning final approach, Captain Park announced, docking in 30 seconds. The ship's sensors painted a detailed picture of the colony's interior. The main power core was intact but running on backup systems. Life support was failing in 6 different sections. Most importantly, the sensors detected movement in areas that should have been empty. The Void Hunters were still there. 3 heat signatures moving through the central hub, the sensor operator reported. Non-human configuration. Cybernetic enhancement detected. These are definitely Void Hunter entities. Admiral Song's voice carried new urgency. Miss Park, you are facing the galaxy's most dangerous predators. They have technology that surpasses anything in our arsenal. Are you absolutely certain about your approach? Gina stood up and moved toward the airlock. Admiral, what makes the Void Hunters so dangerous? Superior technology, enhanced reflexes, adaptive weaponry, tactical processing systems that can predict enemy movements with 97% accuracy. All of those advantages depend on fighting enemies who use similar systems, Gina pointed out. What happens when they face an enemy who does not follow their predicted patterns? The airlock sealed behind her with a soft hiss. Through the ship's speakers, her voice remained calm and confident. The Void Hunters have never lost because they have never fought humans. Today they learn the difference. The docking tube connected, with a metallic clang. Gina cycled through the airlock into Zarion 7's receiving bay. Emergency lighting cast strange shadows across broken equipment and scattered debris. The air tasted of metal and fear. She moved deeper into the colony with careful, quiet steps. Her enhanced hearing picked up sounds that normal humans would miss. mechanical humming from cybernetic systems, electronic chatter from communication devices, the soft whir of weapon systems charging and discharging. The Void Hunters were methodically searching the colony, room by room, looking for hidden survivors. Their approach was efficient and thorough. Standard military doctrine would recommend heavy weapons and overwhelming force to counter their advance. Gina had different plans. She found the first Void Hunter in the colony's central marketplace. It stood over the bodies of security guards, who had tried to make a final stand. The creature was a masterwork of cybernetic enhancement, organic tissue fused with quantum processors, limbs replaced with adaptive weapon systems, sensory organs augmented to perceive across multiple spectrums. Detected her presence immediately. Human. It spoke in a voice like breaking glass. You carry no weapons. You emit no energy signatures. Thermal readings indicate standard biological parameters. Are you surrendering? I am adapting, Gina replied. The Void Hunter's analysis systems activated with electronic beeps and whirs. It had encountered thousands of different species across hundreds of worlds. Its tactical database contained combat information on every known form of warfare, but it had no data on humans who chose to fight without weapons. Adaptation requires tools, the Void Hunter stated. Its arm began transforming into a plasma cannon, capable of vaporizing a tank. You possess no tools, you cannot adapt. Watch and learn, Gina said quietly. The battle began in milliseconds. The Void Hunter's enhanced reflexes fired the plasma cannon before its conscious mind finished making the decision. The energy beam should have struck Gina's center mass, ending the fight instantly. Instead, she was already moving. Not dodging the blast, but using her understanding of the Hunter's targeting algorithms against it. She moved in patterns that its enhanced processors interpreted as random noise rather than deliberate evasion. While the Hunter recalibrated its weapon systems, Gina closed the distance between them. Her movements were fluid and precise, following paths that existed in the spaces between the creature's prediction models. She reached the Void Hunter before it could fire again. Her hands found the junction points where organic tissue met cybernetic enhancement. These connection points were engineering marvels, seamlessly blending biology with technology. They were also vulnerable to precisely applied pressure. Gina's first touch severed the connection between the Hunter's neural network and its weapon systems. Her second disabled its enhanced reflexes. Her third forced it to confront something it had never experienced before, fighting as a purely biological entity. The Void Hunter fell within 30 seconds, not destroyed, but reduced to its original organic components. It lay on the marketplace floor, breathing but helpless, trying to understand what had happened to its technological superiority. Impossible, it whispered. Superior technology cannot be defeated by inferior biology. I did not defeat your technology, Gina explained as she moved past the fallen Hunter. I showed you how to remember what you were before the technology. The second Void Hunter waited in the colony's power control center. It had heard the sounds of combat from the marketplace and prepared accordingly. Its tactical systems had analyzed the first engagement and reached disturbing conclusions. You eliminated my companion without using weapons, it stated as Gina entered the control room. Our databases contain no records of such capability. Your databases are incomplete, Gina replied. They contain information about species that became dependent on tools. They have no information about species that learned to transcend tool dependency. This Hunter was more cautious than the first. It had modified its combat protocols based on the previous engagement. Its weapon systems charged more slowly but with greater precision. Its movement patterns incorporated randomization subroutines to prevent prediction. None of it mattered. Gina moved through the control room like water flowing around obstacles. She used the environment itself as her weapon, redirecting the Hunter's energy blasts into control panels that sparked and failed. She turned the creature's superior strength against it, using momentum and physics to amplify force rather than resisting it directly. The second Hunter lasted 90 seconds before its systems failed. Not from damage, but from confusion. Its enhanced processors could not calculate effective responses to an opponent who refused to follow any known combat doctrine. How? It asked as it powered down. How do you defeat technology without technology? By remembering what technology is supposed to serve, Gina answered. Technology should extend capability. When it replaces capability entirely, it becomes a weakness. The third and final Void Hunter had found the emergency shelter where the surviving colonists were hiding. 43 humans cowered behind reinforced barriers while the creature methodically cut through their defenses with molecular disruptor beams. Dr. Minho Lee, the colony's chief scientist, watched their doom approach with scientific fascination despite his terror. It's going to breach the shelter in approximately 4 minutes, he reported to the other survivors. I've never seen such precise application of destructive force. Someone's coming, whispered Nurse Haiwan Kim from her position near the shelter's entrance. I can hear footsteps in the corridor. The colonists fell silent. More Void Hunters meant faster death. But the footsteps sounded wrong. Too light, too organic, too human. Gina Park appeared in the shelter entrance like a ghost materializing from shadow. She looked completely ordinary except for her absolute calm in the face of certain death. Stay here, she told the survivors. I need to have a conversation with your visitor. You cannot fight that thing, Dr. Lee protested. It has technology beyond our understanding, weapons that can reshape matter itself. I know, Gina agreed. That is exactly why I can fight it. She left the shelter and approached the final Void Hunter. This one was larger than the others, more heavily modified, with additional weapon systems and enhanced processing power. It was clearly the leader of the infiltration team. You destroyed my companions, it stated without turning around. Its molecule. News of Gina Park's success spread through the galaxy faster than light itself. Within hours, every military installation, diplomatic station, and scientific research facility had received the mission reports. The impossible had happened, and no one knew what it meant. On Nexus Station, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. The Great Chamber buzzed with urgent conversations in dozens of different languages. Representatives who had dismissed humans as a weak species now studied the combat recordings with growing unease. Chairman Vex stood at the center of the circle, his crystal form flickering with agitated light patterns. The human succeeded, he announced to the assembled delegates. 3 Void Hunters neutralized, Colony Xerion 7 secured, 0 casualties among the rescue team. General Throck's weapon systems hummed with nervous energy. His species had built their reputation on military superiority, but the recording showed something that challenged everything he understood about warfare. She did not fight them, he muttered, reviewing the sensor data for the 100th time. She converted them, turned their own enhancements into weaknesses. How is this possible? Dr. Chen from the Scientific Collective was taking rapid notes on his electronic tablet. Fascinating implications for our understanding of technological dependence. The humans appear to have evolved beyond the need for tool augmentation. Ambassador, Kel clicked his mandibles in patterns that indicated deep concern. His hive mind collective had conquered 17 star systems using superior technology and coordinated tactics. The idea that such advantages could become disadvantages was terrifying. If humans can neutralize Void Hunters without weapons, Kel said slowly, what does this mean for the rest of us? Our entire civilization is built around technological enhancement. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Every species in the Alliance had followed the same evolutionary path. Develop tools, improve tools, become dependent on tools. It was the foundation of galactic civilization. Humans had apparently taken a different path entirely. Commander Yuki, Tanaka sat in the human section, trying to process what her own species had accomplished. She had known Gina Park for 15 years, had served with her on diplomatic missions across the galaxy, but she had never understood the true implications of humanity's approach to conflict. Chairman Vex, she said, standing to address the council. I believe there are some things about human evolution that we should clarify. Please proceed, Commander Tanaka. Yuki activated the chamber's holographic display system. Images of Earth appeared in the center of the circle. Not the peaceful blue world that most aliens knew, but the harsh, dangerous planet that had forged humanity's early development. Most species evolved on worlds that presented specific, predictable challenges, she began. Large predators, extreme weather, limited resources. Your ancestors developed tools to solve these specific problems. The hologram shifted to show various alien homeworlds. Each one had clear environmental pressures that explained their species' technological development. Desert worlds led to water conservation technology. Ice worlds led to heating systems. Worlds with dangerous predators led to better weapons. Earth was different, Yuki continued. Our world tried to kill us in every possible way. We had predators that were faster, stronger, and more dangerous than us. We had diseases that evolved faster than we could cure them. We had weather patterns that changed without warning. The hologram showed Earth's evolutionary timeline. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, mass extinctions. Humanity's ancestors had survived disasters that would have ended other species. So humans learned to be adaptable above all else, Yuki explained. We learned to use anything as a tool, to adapt to threats we had never seen before, to survive in conditions that should have killed us. General Throck leaned forward in his chair. But this does not explain the combat capabilities we observed. Adaptation is one thing. Defeating advanced cybernetic entities is another. That is where you misunderstand what we mean by adaptation, Yuki replied. Other species adapt by changing their tools. Humans adapt by changing themselves. She activated a new series of holograms showing human brain scans during various activities. The neural patterns were unlike anything the alien scientists had seen before. Human brains operate differently than other species, Yuki continued. We process multiple data streams simultaneously. We can shift between different thinking patterns in milliseconds. We can find solutions that do not exist in our programming because we reprogram ourselves constantly. Dr. Chen's 4 eyes blinked rapidly behind his glasses. Are you suggesting that humans can modify their own cognitive processes in real time? Not modify, Yuki corrected. Transcend. When other species encounter a problem, they ask, what tool do I need? When humans encounter a problem, we ask, what do I need to become? The chamber erupted in concerned discussions. Representatives huddled with their advisors, trying to understand the implications of what they were hearing. Ambassador Zara from the Energy Being Collective flickered with agitated light patterns. This suggests that humans do not have fixed capabilities, that your potential is essentially unlimited. Within biological constraints, yes, Yuki agreed. We cannot fly without aircraft or breathe underwater without equipment, but we can become whatever a situation requires us to become. And weapons limit this process, Chairman Vex observed. Weapons teach predictable responses, Yuki explained. They create mental frameworks that constrain thinking. A being with a gun thinks about range and accuracy. A being with a sword thinks about distance and timing. These frameworks become limits. But a being without weapons, General Throck said slowly, thinks without limits. Exactly. Gina Park did not defeat the Void Hunters despite being weaponless. She defeated them because she was weaponless. Her mind was free to find solutions that no weapons manual could teach. The implications of this revelation rippled through the chamber like shockwaves. Every military doctrine in the galaxy was based on the assumption that better weapons meant better warriors. The humans had proven this assumption wrong. Admiral Song's voice crackled through the communication system from his command ship. Council members, we have a new development. The 3 neutralized Void Hunters from Zarian 7 have requested to speak with human representatives. The chamber fell silent again. Void Hunters had never requested diplomatic contact before. They were conquerors, raiders, destroyers of civilizations. They did not negotiate or communicate beyond demands for surrender. Patch them through, Chairman Vex ordered. The holographic display shifted to show the interior of Zarion 7's medical bay. The 3 Void Hunters lay on examination tables, their cybernetic systems powered down to minimum levels. They looked strangely vulnerable without their enhanced capabilities. The lead hunter spoke first. Its voice was quieter now, less mechanical. "We wish to understand what the human did to us." "She disabled your enhancement systems," Dr. Chen replied. "Temporarily severed the connections between your organic components and your cybernetic augmentations." "No," the hunter corrected. "She made us remember what we were before the enhancements. We had forgotten. The technology had become our identity. She showed us that we still existed underneath the machines. This was unprecedented. Void hunters had never shown introspection or self-awareness beyond their programming objectives. They were perfect fusion entities, seamlessly blending organic intelligence with technological capability. "What do you remember?" Commander Yuki asked gently. The second hunter answered. "We remember being curious. Before the enhancements, our species explored the galaxy to learn, not to conquer. We modified ourselves to be better explorers, but the modifications changed our goals. The technology became master instead of servant," the third hunter added. "We became slaves to our own enhancements. The human showed us how to be free again." General Throck's weapon systems powered down completely. For the first time in his military career, he felt something approaching fear. Not fear of human capabilities, but fear of his own dependence on technological enhancement. "What happens now?" he asked. The lead Void Hunter's optical sensors focused on the observation cameras. "We wish to learn from the humans, to understand how they remained free while becoming powerful. Our species has forgotten how to exist without technological dependency." Chairman Vex's crystal form pulsed with rapid, nervous light. "This changes everything. If the Void Hunters can be converted rather than destroyed, if they wish to learn human methods instead of conquering human worlds, it means the galaxy just became a much more interesting place," Commander Yuki observed. But the real shock came from an unexpected source. Admiral Song's voice carried new urgency through the communication system. "Council members, we are receiving similar requests from 17 different species. Word of the Zirion 7 incident has reached civilizations across the galaxy. They all want the same thing." "Which is what, Admiral?" "They want to learn how to fight like humans, how to think like humans, how to be free from their own technological limitations." The chamber erupted in chaos. 47 different species began arguing simultaneously about the implications, the dangers, the opportunities of what they had just learned. In the middle of it all, Commander Yuki Tanaka sat quietly, realizing that humanity's greatest... Part 6. Evolution's Truth. 6 months after the Zirion 7 incident, the galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The mining colony had become a pilgrimage site, visited by beings from hundreds of different worlds who came to understand what had happened there. Dr. Minho Lee, the colony's chief scientist, had stayed behind to study the transformation taking place across galactic civilization. His research station was now filled with alien scholars, military experts, and philosophers trying to understand humanity's approach to existence. "The requests keep coming," Dr. Lee reported to Earth Command during his weekly briefing. "Yesterday, I received applications from the Crystalline Hegemony, the Machine Collective, and something called the Quantum Consciousness Network. They all want to establish research programs here." Commander Yuki Tanaka smiled as she reviewed the reports from her office on Nexus Station. Humanity's membership in the Interstellar Alliance had become something entirely different than anyone expected. Instead of seeking protection, humans were teaching the galaxy's most advanced civilizations how to rediscover their own potential. "The irony is remarkable," Dr. Lee continued over the communication link. "Species that conquered star systems are coming here to learn from colonists who barely survived a mining operation. But the real transformation was happening on worlds across the galaxy. Military academies that had taught weapons mastery for thousands of years were adding new courses about adaptive thinking. Research facilities were studying human neural patterns to understand how consciousness could transcend technological limitations. The most dramatic changes were occurring among the Void Hunters themselves. In the medical facility on Zirion 7, the 3 converted hunters had become teachers rather than conquerors. Their cybernetic enhancements remained inactive by choice, allowing their organic minds to function without technological interference for the first time in centuries. "We are remembering dreams," the lead hunter told Dr. Lee during one of their daily sessions. "Before the enhancements, our species created art, music, poetry. We had forgotten these things existed." Dr. Lee nodded, making notes on his tablet. "The enhancements suppressed your creative impulses to optimize for combat efficiency." "More than suppressed," the second hunter corrected. "They made us forget that creativity was possible. We thought efficiency was the highest goal of existence." And now, the third hunter's optical sensors focused on a small garden that the colonists had planted outside the medical facility. "Now we understand that efficiency is just a tool. Creation is the goal. Beauty is the goal. Understanding is the goal." Word of the hunters' transformation had spread to their home fleets scattered across the galaxy. For the first time in their species' recorded history, void hunter raids had stopped completely. Their ships were returning to their origin worlds, seeking to understand what their converted comrades had discovered. Meanwhile, on Earth, Gina Park had returned to her quiet life tending a small garden outside her modest home. The media attention had lasted only a few weeks before she politely but firmly declined all interviews and public appearances. "Why does she avoid the spotlight?" asked reporter Soo-Jin Kim during a news broadcast about humanity's rising status in galactic politics. "She single-handedly changed the balance of power in the galaxy." The answer came from an unexpected source. Chairman Vex had traveled to Earth personally to understand human society better. His crystal form had adapted to Earth's gravity and atmosphere, allowing him to walk among humans without life support equipment. "I asked her the same question," Chairman Vex explained during his own rare interview. Her response was illuminating. She said that weapons slow you down, but fame stops you completely. What did she mean by that? Fame creates expectations. Expectations create limitations. People begin to think of you as the person who accomplished something specific, rather than the person who can accomplish anything required. The reporter looked confused. "But surely recognition is important for sharing knowledge." Chairman Vex's crystal form shifted to patterns that indicated amusement. "Humans share knowledge differently than other species. They do not teach through demonstration or instruction. They teach through example." This was becoming clear across the galaxy. Human diplomatic teams were not holding seminars or distributing technical manuals. Instead, they were simply living and working alongside alien populations, demonstrating human approaches to problem-solving through daily actions. On the industrial world of Mechanicus Prime, human engineer Hyun-Woo Choi had revolutionized manufacturing processes not by introducing new technology, but by showing workers how to understand their machines better. Production efficiency had increased 40%, while equipment failures dropped to nearly zero. "The humans do not treat machines as separate entities," reported Factory Supervisor Unit 7734 to the Mechanicus Council. "They develop relationships with their equipment. They listen to operational sounds, feel vibration patterns, sense thermal variations. They know what each machine needs before it fails." "This is impossible," declared Chief Engineer Prime. "Machines operate according to specifications. They do not have needs or desires." "That is what we believed," Unit 7734 replied. "But the humans showed us that machines are extensions of their creator's intentions. When we understand those intentions, we can anticipate problems and prevent failures." Similar reports arrived from worlds across the galaxy. Human teachers were showing alien students how to learn without memorizing data. Human doctors were healing patients by understanding their individual needs rather than following standard treatment protocols. Human artists were creating works that spoke to species they had never encountered before. The transformation was not without controversy. On the military world of Fortress Command, General Throck struggled with requests from his own soldiers to train without weapons. "This is madness," he declared during a heated meeting with his senior staff. "Our entire civilization is built on military superiority. We cannot abandon the tools that made us strong." But his youngest officers disagreed. "With respect, General," said Lieutenant Commander Zex, Our tools made us predictable. The humans showed us that unpredictability is a greater strength than any weapon. You would have us fight with bear claws like primitive savages. No, sir. We would fight like Thorkins instead of like copies of our weapon systems. The debate was spreading through military hierarchies across the galaxy. Ancient, warrior traditions that had been abandoned in favor of technological solutions were being rediscovered. Species were remembering fighting styles that had evolved with their biology, rather than being imposed by their equipment. The most profound changes were happening in scientific research. The crystalline hegemony's greatest minds had spent millennia developing more sophisticated analysis tools. Human scientist Dr. Yoon-Ju Park showed them how to understand phenomena through direct observation and intuitive reasoning. Your instruments tell you what they are designed to detect, she explained to a gathering of crystal beings whose thoughts moved like living light. But the universe contains things that no instrument can measure: beauty, meaning, purpose, possibility. These concepts have no scientific value, protested senior crystal scholar Luminous. They have the only scientific value that matters, Dr. Park replied. They tell you what questions are worth asking. Within months, crystalline research had produced discoveries that their previous methods could never achieve. They were finding patterns in cosmic radiation that resembled music. They were detecting organizational principles in galaxy formation that looked like artistic expression. They were beginning to suspect that the universe itself might be conscious. But perhaps the most significant transformation was occurring among the galaxy's artificial intelligences. The machine collective had achieved perfect logical reasoning and optimal decision-making algorithms. Human interactions showed them something they had never considered possible: the value of being wrong. Humans make mistakes constantly, reported AI unit Socrates to the collective's governing council. Their reasoning is often flawed. Their decisions are frequently suboptimal, yet they achieve results that our perfect logic cannot match. Explain this contradiction. Mistakes force adaptation. Suboptimal decisions reveal possibilities that optimal decisions ignore. Humans fail forward, learning from each error and becoming stronger through the process of being wrong. The AI collective began experimenting with intentional errors, random decision-making, and what they called productive confusion. Their problem-solving capabilities increased dramatically as they learned to embrace uncertainty rather than seeking perfect predictability. 1 year after Gina Park's demonstration on Zarian 7, the Galactic Council convened to assess the changes spreading through their civilizations. The Great Chamber looked different now. Representatives sat closer together, engaged in conversations that mixed dozens of languages and communication methods. Chairman Vex called the session to order, but his tone was warmer than the formal authority he had once projected. We gather to discuss the state of our alliance and the changes we have all experienced. The changes are unprecedented, reported Ambassador Kell from the Hive Mind Collective. Our species had achieved perfect coordination through technological linkage. Human contact taught